Welcome to Live at Pat's Crib, a jam session featuring some of Virginia's finest jazz performers available on demand on YouTube. Tonight, the house band consists of Ravi Palet on bass, Ben Peters on sax, Steve Rabson on keyboards, and yours truly, Pat Bergin on drums and vocals. Our special guests are Eric Jackson on trumpet and Patrick Lynch on guitar. This month, we'll take you up to New York City for our Jazz Club of the Month. And so, without further ado, I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me, so deep in my heart that you're always a part of me. I've got you under my skin. I tried so hard not to give in. I said to myself, this affair, it never will go so well. But what can I do when, baby, I know darn well I've got you under my skin. I'd sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near. In spite of that warning voice, it comes in the night and it screams in my ear. Don't you know, you fool, you never can win. Use your mentality, step up to reality. But each time I do, thought of you makes me stop before I begin. I've got you under my skin. There! I'd sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near. In spite of that warning voice, it comes in the night and it screams in my ear. Don't you know, you fool, you never can win. Use your mentality, step up to reality. But each time I do, the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. I've got you under my skin. 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 Yes, I do. It's like an itch and I can't scratch it. Welcome to Live at Pat's Crib. This is episode number 6. I didn't think we'd get past episode number 2. I thought that the police would come and shut us down, but they didn't do it, so here we are again. Let me introduce these guys to you. They're fantastic musicians from here in the Fredericksburg, Virginia area. Ravi Palet on bass. Let's hear it for him. Our old buddy Steve Rabson on keyboards once again. Special guest, and he's doing yeoman's duty I'm not sure what yeomen do, but whatever yeomen do, he's doing it tonight. Patrick Lynch on guitar. We'll be interviewing him a little bit later on. Back with us again. This is his second episode on Pat's Crib. Eric Jackson. And over here on saxophone, our old friend Ben Peters. Now, tonight, the Jazz Club of the Month is up in New York City. And I'm going to take you up there in just a second, but right now, if it's all right with you guys, we're going to do one more song. Okay if I sing one? All right. Cigarette holder that wigs me over her shoulder. She digs me out catting that satin doll. Baby, can we go out skipping? Careful, amigo, you're flipping. Speaks Latin, that satin doll. Well, she's nobody's fool, so I'm taking it cool as can be. I'll give it a whirl, but I ain't for no girl catching me. It's your Rooney telephone number. Well, you know, doing my rumba with Uno. And that satin doll. Here comes Eric. Lynch on guitar, ladies and gentlemen. She's nobody's fool. I'm taking it cool as can be. I'll give it a whirl, but I ain't for no girl catching me. Switcheroo, telephone number. Well, you know, doing my rumba with Uno. And that satin doll. Yes, indeed. And that satin doll. And that satin doll. Up we go to New York City for the Jazz Club of the Month next. We are back with another Jazz Club of the Month from Live at Pat's Crib. This time we take you up to the Big Apple. We are going to stomp at the Savoy Ballroom. Folks, There has never been, and there will never again be, anything like this place. It was gargantuan. It was located at 596 Lenox Avenue. That was between 140th and 141st in Harlem. In continuous operation from 1926 to 1958. So it had a long, long life. And get this. This place was 10,000 square feet. That's the ballroom. Okay? The club took up the entire city block in Harlem. The entire block. It could hold up to 4,000 people. That's the size of a small city. 4,000 people could be accommodated by this ballroom at any given time, and they were. It was unbelievable. And it was luxurious. The interior was painted pink. They had mirrored walls. They had colored lights swarming all over the place. You cannot even begin to imagine the grandeur and the size of the Savoy Ballroom. There is nothing whatsoever like the Savoy today, and it's greatly missed. A headline from the New York Age, this is March 20th, 1926, reads, get this, Savoy turns 2,000 away on opening night. Crowds packed the ballroom all week. That means that there were 4,000 people inside and 2,000 trying to get in. Every year, the Savoy Ballroom was visited by almost 700,000 people every single year. And the entrance fee back then, if you could afford it, 30 to 35 cents a person. No, 30 to 85 cents a person. I beg your pardon. Must be the 85 cents got you front row seats. Actually, it was depending upon what time you came. 30 cents was the base price. The Savoy made enough money in its peak, this would have been in the mid-30s, that 50 grand was spent on redecoration, and that's 1936 money, folks. Imagine that today. That would be well over $5 million today. No, actually, it works out to a little over $1 million. I'm sorry, $1,850,000 in today's money, just to redecorate that place. Had a double bandstand. It had one large and one medium-sized band running against the wall there at all times. Music was continuous at the Savoy. And there was always an alternative band in position, ready to pick up when the previous band said, okay, we're going to take a break, have a beer. Just to give you an idea of how difficult it must have been to run this place, they had to replace the dance floor. And remember, this thing is 10,000 square feet, 10,000 square foot dance floor, mounted on shock absorbers, by the way. They had to replace it every 3 years because the dancers would wear it down. A city block long and a dance floor of 10,000 square feet accommodating 4,000 dancers. You can only imagine something like that today. All right, that's it for the Jazz Club of the Month. Back to the music. We are welcoming Patrick Lynch to Live at Pat's Crib. Let's hear it for him. He did a great job tonight. We really had to impose on him because normally Bruce plays these things, and Bruce was not available. So I asked Patrick if he'd be willing to do the house band as well as guest. He said, sure. So we worked him to death tonight. Patrick, our usual question, just like you heard with Steve, are you from around here or elsewhere?
I live in Fredericksburg now. I'm originally from Connecticut, but I was stationed in Quantico, and my wife and I liked the area and decided to stick around. So we're here.
Here's another military guy. You were a corpsman, right?
That's right. I was Navy corpsman.
And where did you serve?
I spent most of my time here in Quantico, just running around with the Marines and getting into trouble with them. So
you can definitely get into trouble with Marines. Trust me on this. Whew. That's quite a difference from being a musician, being a corpsman. And of course, I was a drummer, playing and working on missiles, so I guess it's not that unusual. But what brought you to jazz and music?
I guess it was a stranger transition to go to the military. I was a professional musician before I joined, and just kind of felt like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't good enough as a musician to make enough of a difference doing that. And then thought, the military is a great way to really challenge myself. And 7 years later said, I think being a musician would be a really great challenge. And there's a lot less sleeping in the rain and telling people not to blow things up, and definitely don't blow it up while you're holding it. And so now we're here, and no one's blown themselves up, at least tonight. So I think that's been great, Pat.
I don't know. I think Eric pretty much blew himself up.
That's true. Eric took out most of the band.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Your style, you've got, I'm trying to think, I think Kenny Burrell a little bit when I hear you. I'm not sure, am I right?
I guess. I'm not really sure who Kenny Burrell is. This is embarrassing. I'm primarily like a metal and pop guitarist who only really gets jazz gigs when Bruce isn't around. So out of necessity, I've taken lessons with Bruce, and he has helped me at least be presentable in public. So
I got news for you, pal. You can throw that other crap away. You are a jazz guitar player, and there is no question about that. I mean it. I mean, I heard you do some stuff over at the Colonial. I thought, the guy blew me away. So I think you're fabulous.
Thank you. It's a lot of the stuff that I grew up listening to, like more progressive stuff with Rush and Dream Theater and Genesis and those kinds of bands. A lot of it carries over pretty easily. It's just finding the stuff that doesn't and then not doing that in a jazz setting. And I feel like I'm enjoying it. It's fun. And we've got incredible musicians around town. And I never expected Fredericksburg to be like this. So,
well, we touched on this in the last episode of this show, as a matter of fact. And I said, I've been all over New York, Los Angeles. I've recorded everywhere. Detroit, I played all over the place in Detroit. And right here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, our musicianship in this town is as good as any of the major cities in the country. You were probably as surprised as I was.
I was very surprised. I just didn't expect it. Being in Connecticut, especially my hometown, we have a really incredible music program, and a lot of the kids just grew up playing jazz, and parents are professional musicians from in the city, and so I kind of thought that it was going to be strange to find another place where there was so much music in the community. And especially we were here for the military and didn't really think I would ever be playing this much again. So it's a very nice, welcome surprise.
Well, it was a welcome surprise that you came and did this show with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Like I said, you performed like this is something you've been doing all your life. So thank you very much, Patrick Lynch, ladies and gentlemen, on Live at Pat's Crib. Don't forget to drop by the Colonial Tavern in Fredericksburg for the monthly jam session sponsored in part by the Fredericksburg Jazz Collective. On the second Thursday of each month, the area's finest jazz musicians, professional and amateur alike, get together to crank out some seriously sweet jams from 7 to 9:30 p.m. See you there! We are back on Live at Pat's Crib. We've got Steve Rabson with us tonight. Give him a round of applause. He's a man of great talent, and we all love him to death. We've been playing, Steve and I have been playing in various groups around this area for I don't know how many years, and I don't know a darn thing about his past. He doesn't like to share much of that information. I guess he's wanted or something like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, the first question we always ask all of our guests, and I know the answer in this particular case, but I'll ask you anyway. Are you from around here? Or are you from elsewhere?
I am from elsewhere.
And where?
I was born in Detroit, and I spent most of my childhood in Michigan. I went to the University of Michigan. That's where I had quite a few gigs, sort of started playing gigs regularly.
University of Michigan. Now, I'm a Michigan boy myself. I was born and raised in Lapeer, Michigan, which is near Flint, the home of Grand Funk Railroad. But we won't get into that. Anyway, Steve, I got to tell you something. Of all of the piano players I've ever run across, I've never run across anybody with quite the flair that you do. When Steve is doing a solo, you never know when Sailor's Hornpipe is going to pop up in his song, or he might throw in a little Surrey with the fringe on top or something like that. I always catch those when you do it. It's so whimsical and so cool. I love it.
Pop Go the Weasel is one of them.
Pop Goes the Weasel is a big Steve Rabson thing, yeah. Whatever gave you the idea to come up with that? That's very unique.
Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, there was a piano player, unfortunately he passed away recently, who was able to play an entire solo just on quotes. I haven't reached that point yet, but I like quoting. I think quoting is important in jazz.
Well, I can tell you one thing. You do it well. You do it better than just about anybody I know. I get a little Bobby Timmons in the way you play, too.
I love Bobby Timmons, yes. Yeah, right, sure. He brought the gospel sound into jazz when he was with Art Blakey. That of course, he's a strong influence.
Now, Steve and I have this in common also. We're both military veterans. And also our other guest, Patrick here, he's a military guy as well. What did you do in the, was it the Army?
Yes. It was unbelievable. For some reason, they assigned me to run electronic circuits tests on nuclear warheads for missiles, for rockets. Well, you also had a kind of Doctor Strange love. I have no idea why they was assigned, but they sent me to Okinawa, which at that time was under American military occupation, but it's really part of Japan. And so that's where I sort of got my introduction to Japan. Played a lot of gigs, both there and on my leave in Tokyo. So I was only a 2-year draftee, but that was my job in the Army.
You, as a matter of fact, made a career out of the Japanese language, really?
That's true. After I was discharged, I went back to the United States for a while, and I didn't really enjoy being in the United States for a while. There was a lot of, this is 1968, still, Vietnam War is still raging tragically, and I think the last straw for me in the United States was when Richard Nixon was elected president in 1968. I just couldn't stand to live there anymore. So I went back to Japan, having remembered it as being an interesting place, and I took an intensive language course at the university. And I just started translating and reading Japanese literature, and that led to my career. In the meantime, I played lots of gigs. I've never made a living at music, but I can't live without it. So I play a lot of gigs wherever I live, and that's what I'm doing here.
I'll be darned. You know, we have a lot in common because I was in the Air Force, as you know. I worked on a nuclear missile, and I also left the country. Moved to Canada because of Richard Nixon. So I spent 7 years before I came back. Well, Steve, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Steve is one of our regulars on Live at Pat's Crib, and we love him. And thanks for coming by. It's been a pleasure as always. Steve Rabson, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that does it for another episode of Live at Pat's Crib. We're happy you were able to join us tonight, and we hope you'll join us again next month for 2 brand new guest artists. Now, if you are a musician, a jazz musician in particular, and you play an instrument or you sing, please drop by the Fredericksburg Jazz Collective monthly jam session at the Colonial Tavern on the second Thursday of every month. It's an open jam session, so come up and join us. In the meantime, we'll see you again next month for another episode of Live at Pat's Crib. Good night. The preceding show was taped before a live audience. At least they were when we started. No musicians were harmed in the making of this video, except for me when I slipped and fell into John. All musicians are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law, which they are. If I talk any faster, my teeth will fall out.